Hi creatives, it's Claire from Right Accounts and happy Wednesday. I'm just here with my tea to have a little bit of a story time with you. Now, you can probably guess that my story is going to be about the importance of bookkeeping and being organised. And specifically, it's about being in charge. So there's a lot of talk when people talk about bookkeeping. They're like, oh, just get somebody else to do it, get somebody else to look after it, outsource it. And yes, that's something a lot of people aspire to do, but you still have to be responsible for it, and that's the one of the morals of this story. So to set you a little bit of background, a while ago, maybe just over a year ago, I was working with a lady on making her Wave work. Wave was, happily doing its thing. She has a high turnover business, so she has lots of transactions happening, but they're fairly low ticket price, so it's not a huge business, it's not insubstantial either. And when we were working together, she was running the Wave, and from then she decided that that wasn't something she wanted to do anymore, so she outsourced it to somebody else. Now, she called me last week and just giving me a little bit of an update on what was happening, because she had submitted her taxes for last financial year, no, the year before, which is the period we were working together. And she had received back this estimate that she was going to owe the ATO a significant amount of money. So what happened was, I'm not quite sure who looked into it, but somebody looked into it and they figured out that her income had been doubled in Wave. So she was reporting probably not quite twice as much. It was something from the year before was carrying forward, but she was reporting much more in sales than she should have been. So from this, there's a few things that came up for me. So she was working with a professional, and as whenever we work with professionals, we do rely on them, but you still have to be in charge. You should still be checking that what's happening is correct. You should be reusing the information in your business, so it should be clear. Maybe not obvious, but it should be clear when you look at the numbers, particularly if it's significantly more. You look at the number and you go, have I made whatever the number is, and I'm not sure what her number is specifically. Did I make $75,000 worth of sales? That doesn't seem right. That would be 40 sales a day. Like, you can start to look at the averages, even if you're not looking at the details, and then you go, was I selling 40 a day? Oh no, I really feel like I was selling more like 15 or 10. Like, so you can look at that, you can take charge, you can, I'd say, analyze the numbers, but it's not really analyzing, it's just reflecting them back onto your situation. The second thing is the cross-checking of information. So all her sales go through a PayPal as her channel. So for example, if all your sales go through Etsy, all your sales go through Stripe, all your sales go through Acuity, like whatever it is, use the information there to cross-check what is happening in your Wave account. It's really very easy, in my opinion, to download a report, particularly from PayPal, that says how many sales you've made in the year, and then compare that to what your bookkeeping says. So if your bookkeeping says 75 and your PayPal report says 40, straight away an alarm bell should have gone off for the business owner, the bookkeeper, or the tax accountant that something didn't add up. The third moral of the story is this wasn't for, I'm not quite sure which financial year this was for, but she said she was having problems downloading the information from PayPal, and the reason she contacted me was because I had done that with her, so I did have some PayPal data stored in my email that was relevant for her. So the third moral of the story is to capture that information, because you're never quite sure when you might need it going forward. There are only a certain number of years, for example, that you can access your bank statements, your PayPal statements, your Stripe statements, whatever it is. All of the places where you have financial data, you should have copies of them saved. Now, the fourth moral of the story, unfortunately for this lady in her case, is that she had downloaded some of that information, but she'd kept it on her laptop, and her laptop had problems, and none of the data on her laptop could be restored. So make sure you're either backing up if you're saving it on your computer, you're putting it on the cloud. If you're saving it, if you're not saving it on your computer, because that's backed up, make sure it's still accessible. If you are saving it on the cloud, make sure you keep that account up to date. You don't want to lose the password and not be able to retrieve your information. So there's lots of ways we can learn like from this. What I really hope that she does going forward is learn the lessons, being responsible, backing up data, keeping copies, and cross-checking, and I hope that her bookkeeper and her accountant also learn some lessons too. I will be back on a Friday where we're talking about getting ready for the Christmas rush and how much you may be able to spend on your supplies. But until then, happy financing, and I'll see you on Friday.